It's special, it's fabulous, especially in the hands of someone like Roberto Alagna. Nessun Dorma there to welcome for his Melbourne concerts here at Hamer Hall tomorrow. Roberto Alagna, regarded as pretty much the hottest tenor in the world. Roberto, welcome to the conversation now.
Thank you very much.
With Bomber Thompson and Gerard Whateley, neither of whom should be asked to sing. Let me just make this clear.
I'm sure they sing very well.
No, they do something else very well, and we'll come to that in a moment. But tell me about your meeting with Pavarotti.
Oh, with Pavarotti, it was quite special because I met him in the store. You know, he was signing CDs, and a friend of mine came to him and they said, "Oh, you know, this young guy is a tenor." And he spoke with me. He told me, "You are a tenor?" I said, No. I was too shy to say I'm a tenor. You know, I was very young. And he invited me in Pesaro. He wanted to listen my voice. And I was involved in his competition. The competition was very long, 1 year and a half, quite 2 years. And I won in every etap, you know, of the competition. And after that, I think he was all the time my God, you know. He was more than a singer for me. He was quite a god, you know, a mixture between Poseidon and Bacchus.
Was he a teacher as well?
No, not at all, because I think, you know, Pavarotti was very special. He was he was speaking all the time just with eyes, you know, not a lot of words. And I think it's better sometimes for singers to have just this kind of relation, not speaking a lot. Because, you know, when you are a singer, you receive a programmation from the nature, like a computer, to sing well. But the problem when everybody gives you advices, it can make a bug, you know, in the program computer. And I think he was clever for that.
Because that whole process we were hearing about Kevin Sheedy's inspirational, almost, a fearsome reputation with footballers. And here, was there someone who was a mentor or someone who taught you the great lessons of your creative life?
You know, you receive lessons by those kind of singers listening. And for example, here tomorrow, I will give a tribute to Pavarotti because I use his repertoire and I use also his orchestration. I have the original orchestration of Pavarotti, and this is my type of tribute. You know, I want to make all the time when I am on stage, I'm thinking about Pavarotti because he was a great mentor for me, and he was a. I want to make all the time when I am on stage, I'm thinking about
between singing for love,
passion. I try to please the people. The more I try to please the people, the more I can. All the time, I must share something with them. The emotion, it's like a communion. I used to say that to sing, it's like when you pray. You know, it's the same. And when you are in a theater, it's like a temple. And it's a communion with the audience. And you must give them the more you can, the more you have inside. If you start to think about profession, working, money, or you are lost.
Do you sing in the car? Do you sing in the shower? What do you sing for your own pleasure?
Everywhere for pleasure, because I am like a bird, you know, I am like a little bird. I remember when I was a child, I was during the dining or something, I was all the time singing, and my mom said, "Roberto, basta, stop it, you will sing later." It was like this. I was like a bird all the time singing. Yeah, sure, if I am in the shower, I don't stop to sing because the shower is the most beautiful studio in the world. You know, you have a wonderful acoustic. You have this steam. You know, it open your nose and your sinus, and you can sing very well. I am the best tenor.
You can sing very well.
You know, yes, I said all the time.
I'm not sure whether being in the shower would make any difference for the rest of us.
I'm going to try it.
But you
I'm
must
just wondering about your voice. Like, how do you preserve your voice? How do you look after your voice? How do you train your voice?
It's difficult. For example, normally when I have a concert, the day after, I don't speak. Here I speak because it's this interview very important for me and for people to know me in Australia. But usually the most important medicine is to stay quiet and silent. Yeah, this is the most important. Otherwise, you can do everything but not abuse.
Is that why Pavarotti talked with his fingers?
Yeah, exactly. For that, maybe for that, he was very, very economic with his words. Yeah.
But it's about that single-mindedness. I mean, you both, in a way, are saying the same thing, although from football to opera or recital, it's you'd think there was absolutely nothing in common, but actually it's the same thing.
You have a lot in common.
You protect your talent and your tools of trade,
Sure.
and you develop them to the full potential, but you've got to be that single-mindedness that you both have to achieve your potential.
It's very athletic to sing, very athletic, like sport, but also very mental, because you have to control your nerves, you have to control everything. You have to make you know, when you sing, if you give everything at the beginning, you can't finish the show. You know, you must all the time think. It's like a sport. You know, you have to control every effort.
But it's more than singing, and in fact, it's the same with football. It's performance, isn't it? I mean, when you're out on the footy field or when you're on the stage, you're not just singing. You're doing more than singing.
You can die on stage because you want to give everything, and sometimes you have to go through your possibilities and through your force and power. Yeah, it's like this. It's like in sport. Yeah, and when you want to go because you want to give something, you want to give everything.
And Bomber, the footballers, I mean, thousands of people have played football, Australian football, but there's a handful that have left their mark. And they're the ones who know it's more than just what you do with the ball.
Not only are they talented, but they are perfectionists, aren't they, too? Like, they just do things that other people can't do. And you just wonder, and you just look in amazement sometimes, like, how do they do this? Don't they? And it's done because they actually believe they can do it and they practice it. Yeah, and they just don't settle for not being able to do things.
Do you visualise? Do either of you believe in visualisation, seeing how you want things to turn out in your own head?
You have to control everything. It's sure, and it's the same in sport, you know. And when I was at school many years ago, I played rugby. And I remember it was you must be very courageous, you know, when you hear, you know, the noise of the other team, you know.
Coming at you.
And you go to after that to play, and it's the same. And it's the same in opera. Every time it's not a fight, but you must conquest the people. You must prove all the time. You know, now I sing for more than 33 years. On stage, and every night I have to prove again to show. It's all the time. You have to. It's another challenge, you know, and it's very demanding. But it's like this. Yeah.
So how often would the band miss something and you have to adjust on your feet? You know, in a concert. How often?
Often,
all the time.
For example, here we have a concert, and I ask for a program. You know, I made a program and everything, and at the last moment when I arrived here, the orchestration doesn't arrive. And I had to improvise something else. I had to call a pianist to change the program and to improvise. It was quite difficult because I had to rehearse just 2 hours before the concert, something new to learn on my dressing room, you know. But after that, the show, something magical happened. And this is the magic of this profession, you know. This is fantastic.
Do you still feel nerves when you perform?
Not nervous, but you have a lot of responsibility, you know, because people are expecting you, you know. They want to hear what they hear in the CDs. They want to. Everybody wants something else, you know, and they want something from you. But you can't please everybody. You try to do something to please the more people you can, but it's impossible to please everybody in the venue. But it's like this. But at the end, you know, for example, in Sydney, it was fantastic because normally, you know, the audience start to warm up slowly and slowly. But here, after the first duet and the first aria, they start with standing ovation and clapping and everything.
Yeah,
I was so surprised.
We're easily pleased.
Yeah, it was fantastic, this, because it was the real communion, you know, and you receive so much that you want to give them more and more and more. And I sang for 3 hours. And after that, the producer told me, you know, in Melbourne, try to do less because it was too long.
Can you sign with both hands at the same time and halve?
Sure. You can do everything.
But, I mean, I suppose you must get sick of it sometimes, though. Nessendorma. How many times would you have sung Nessendorma?
No, I sang, you know...
You must get to the point where you go, Pavarotti, do I have to do this song again?
You know, I tell you something. Nessun Dorma is very special for me, because for me, Nessun Dorma was Luciano Pavarotti. And I am so respectful, I quite never sang Nessun Dorma on concert, maybe 2 or 3 times, that's all. But I sing Nessun Dorma when I sing the entire opera. I sing the Turandot, okay, I understand. But I think this is a respect for Luciano Pavarotti, because before him, this aria was not a hit. It became a hit because of Pavarotti. And now, when everybody tries to sing this aria, sure, it's a beautiful aria, but I prefer to sing this aria in the entire opera.
In the context of the whole of Turandot. Yep.
Because otherwise, it's Pavarotti for me, and I want to respect that.
We saw Turandot at the Open Air Opera in Sydney at the Lady Macquarie's Chair, so it's on the harbour.
It's beautiful.
At Easter. So it was still warm, and there's the Opera House as the backdrop, and the harbour bridge, and the bats, and the birds,
I saw
and
pictures,
the
and
ferries.
it's amazing. I would like to come and to sing
come
something
back
there.
for it. Come and sing.
Yes, I would like to come and to come and to sing an entire opera, because it's a wonderful place.
Okay, it's a deal. We'll book you. But is it the same, Bomber? I mean, as a footballer, you get to the point you ended with an injury, but do you get to the point where it's just not like Brent Harvey, who's going out for the 427th game, but did you get to the point where it's, I don't know that I can just get the energy to run out there again, and we're playing the bottom team, and I'm just not that excited about it this week?
I did get that feeling. I did at the end. I felt like I was being played, and I was being put on their weakest player, so that I could sort of still cope, and I felt like it was time to give it up. Yeah, there's always a time, isn't there? When in sport, you get too old. And getting out of bed the next morning was just, after a while, you just didn't want that pain in your life. That sort of a horrible pain.
It's the same with the voice, with the vocal cord and everything. It's the same.
Yeah.
And
so
coaching
the next day.
And coaching, did you ever get that feeling of, I've given it everything, I've got nothing more to give?
After 2009, to be honest, we'd won two championships, and it's almost like your dream and your goals had sort of been achieved. Probably should have reset them maybe, but I didn't feel like I could. I just thought that I was tired, and it'd been a big journey. It'd been an 11-year journey, and poor club, built it slowly, been a lot of controversies, and then we started to win like no one's ever won before, and that was it for me. Like I couldn't sort of probably get that back in my life at any club. You can't, because we played such beautiful football, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that buzz, Roberto, it must be the same. I mean, you can't keep going to bigger and bigger and bigger crowds.
Yeah.
So how do you get sustained? What keeps you? What's the next high, the next kick?
The most important when you have a very long career, it's to keep, inside this fire. The fire you had when you were a student, when you wanted to arrive, when you had this dream. If you lose this flame, this is the most important, because in fact, when you have the passion and this fire inside, you can do everything,
And if you can't anymore, if you hurt, like a footballer hurts themselves, their career is over. If you hurt your voice, what?
You have to go home.
So who is Roberto if he can't sing?
I don't know, because I was a very, very shy children.
I can see how shy you are.
I was very shy. It's true. And the singing was my therapy. And when you are shy, everything is difficult, and you must control yourself all the time. You have to work and work and work and work. And I was a very hard worker. I was a self-taught, and when you are self-taught, you think all the time you are late, and you work more than others, And this is the most important, to keep your passion, because otherwise you can't continue this career. It's too difficult. It's like sport. If you are not in good health, in good mental, in good nerves and everything, it's impossible. And you must sacrifice a lot to arrive to be able to sing. Yeah.
So, and who's Bomber? If Bomber had an injury, as so many others did early in their careers, and they can't ever get back to doing that, would you have gone back to being an electrician, do you think?
I would have, because I almost did it until almost the end of my playing career. So, yeah, I would have had that. I'm glad I did get the opportunity to coach. I've learnt so many other skills.
Can we get you? There's a bit of wire sticking out the back here, and I don't know if it's live.
Lots of wires around here at the moment in the renovation here.
In fact, you tell an extraordinary story of saving a kid's life.
Yeah, I did.
Early on a job.
Yeah, my mate got electrocuted on a big switchboard, and he got stuck. He grabbed on. I couldn't release him. I pulled him off the bars, the buzz bars that were alive of electricity, and he was, you could see the electricity going through him, and he went unconscious and he was on for probably 25 seconds and probably should have passed away. But we got him back, luckily.
You grabbed a sledgehammer and smashed a door to get through to turn off the switchboard.
It's funny how you see...
Extraordinary story.
It is. It's life, isn't it? It has nothing to do with football. It's actually real life. Another 10 seconds and that poor guy, my mate, would have been with God.
But do you think it's better for footballers back in those days that they actually had something other than football in their lives?
I think there's been a constant problem, John. I think that early days it was too much of your day. It's 12 hours work and then train. Then they tried to get professional, and now they are professional. And they train to do something. They get educated in commerce or do something, fitness, or do an apprenticeship, trade apprenticeship. But the problem is when you've played for 10 years, 12 years, you might have this certificate to do something, but you have no practice. You haven't done it. So you're 30, started work.
And they'll end up thinking you can buy a country pub and...
Yeah, you can't do that. Not everyone can do that.
Not anymore, no.
You wouldn't want to anyway.
What do you do to relax?
To relax?
Yeah.
To relax, you must be relaxed all the time, because if you are nervous, it's impossible to produce a good sound, with the voice. But to relax, I like to go to read, to do sport, to work outside, or to stay with my family, to watch movies, and like normal people,
Do you do what Pavarotti do, and got some young junior tenors that you're helping?
Yeah, sure. But, I think for me now it's too early for this because I don't know. I prefer to receive some new singers and to give some advices, not too much because it's very dangerous to give advices. Sometimes you can break a voice just with some advices. This is very, very... All the time I try to explain them. They must be self-critic. This is the most important, to be able to critique yourself. This is the capital.
It's been wonderful to be able to get the two of you comparing what would seem to be wildly different perspectives, but in fact there's so much in common. Roberto, welcome to Melbourne, and I hope that Australia continues to be as kind to you as your Sydney performance has shown. Tomorrow night at the Arts Centre at Hamer Hall, Roberto Alagna, the hottest tenor in the world, in concert at Hamer Hall at the Arts Centre tomorrow night, Wednesday night at 7:30, and then he's off to Brisbane and then off from there to Poland and then to France, and there's concerts stretched out into the future, but you have a unique chance tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 7:30 at the Hamer Hall at the Arts Centre to hear Roberto Alagna here in Australia.